Okay, boys and girls, today we'll be reading about magic, whatever that says, notebooks. Okay. Now, if you're wondering what we're going to be reading about, well, let me just get to the first chapter here, and whoa, what is that? Anyway, as you can see, this is not a book. This is not a review on a chapter book. This is a review on an Airsoft Glock 42, and I shouldn't say Glock because it's not a Glock, it's considered a G42, and I will not name the manufacturer of this. Let me just throw that down there. Before we continue, this is a really cool little thing. There's little magnetic flaps here, and it's pretty nice. It's got a little sort of leather-like texture and gold leaf or whatever, and they have like this cutout. Like, it doesn't come with two magazines. I actually ordered a second one, and this actually is something that you put in the magazine to allow for dry firing, so you don't like ruin the. Because these are not striker fired. These are hammer, like an internal hammer, and I'll show you that when we get to the field strip here. This magazine is loaded. The one inside the airsoft gun is not loaded, and I will make sure and clear it. And because it is important to maintain your safety habits. Anyway, so let's set this book thing aside here, and we'll go over some stuff here. So first of all, I believe I am the very first person to review this in America. Maybe the last person. I don't know. I don't know how many people have bought these. I'll get some close-ups here in a second, but I mean, this is not tape. This is actually painted on. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to either spray paint it or scrape it off and refinish it. Not sure what I'm going to do with it just yet, but I will figure that out later. For now, let's just enjoy this review here. First of all, there's nothing in the magazine, and there's nothing in the chamber. You can't really see in there. That's a nice sounding little gas blowback pistol. Now, the fit and finish is wonderful in a lot of ways, and it's lacking in some other ways. The mold lines here, not sure if you can see them clearly on the video, but the mold lines like down the center of the pistol, like the seam, if you want to call it that, they're pretty noticeable. They're not noticeable like when you actually go to hold it, but it's kind of one of those things, like, it's a visual thing. If you want to, you can just, shave it off with like a knife or whatever. It won't really hurt it. If you're familiar with Glock 42s, you'll recognize immediately that this is not a Glock 42 sized mag. This is actually a Glock 43 sized mag. This is a 9mm Luger or Parabellum 9x19. And yeah, you'll notice that this is actually not a 380 size magazine. This is a 380 size magazine here, and you can tell on the right here that this is actually not the same size. So that being said, they did this for this isn't what they said, but obviously they did this so they could hold more gas in the magazine, because it's pretty limited in space. So they made the pistol grip around the same size. It's not the same size, but it's around the same size. And I'll get to the different dimensions and stuff as well, but this is an actual Glock 42, and I am a very strong supporter for Glock. I love Glocks, but I don't approve of them not getting into the airsoft market, because it just doesn't make much sense to me. Anyway, we'll go over the trademarks, we'll go over the fit and finish, but I would like to get some other footage here first. I believe this actually, the magazine release is very stiff, which is nice, because on the real one it is stiff as well. It feels about the same as the real one, which is nice. The trigger is not as stiff as I would like it. It feels like an airsoft trigger, and actually the safety bar, actually, if you watch here, see how it kind of catches right there? That's because unless you press this all the way down, it's not smooth. So that will wear in, and it'll kind of, you know, cut out the frame really. Or I can modify that little, you know, punch that little pin out and modify it to where it's not like so rough on there. Or I can just remove it entirely, but I'm not going to do that. The sights are just standard sort of Glock sights, and they're pretty much spot on. Like it looks like Glock sights. I'm not a huge fan of the Glock stock sights, but I usually replace them with like night sights, tritium sights, or whatever. I think these are just some True Glows, I believe. So it's that. There's also a noticeable mold spot right here. If you look in that little circle right there, you can actually feel it. But it looks great. The slide dimensions are different. On the actual 42, you can see it's more round and actually more slim, and which is kind of odd because you'd think that they would go with the same dimensions. This before anyone gets pissed off, I've actually safety checked this ahead of time and do a physical check there. But there's no ammunition in this gun. But so I will be aiming at the camera. Similar designs there. Let's go over the trademarks there. Like you can see that there is, you know, numbers and letters there, and it would focus here. Also on the barrel, there is a little Georgia mark, or not Georgia, whatever the hell that. I think that's Georgia. Right here in the real one, Made in USA, Glock Incorporated, in Georgia. Same thing right there. Which is funny because some of the real versions are not made in Georgia, I believe. I'm kind of lucky to have one because I like the fact that it's made in the USA. They moved their factories over here to, you know, get around some of the stupid gun laws. The back profile, I have a little clip on here for drawing without a holster. Back is pretty similar. It looks like a little bit larger of a back plate right there. I'm not really sure if that would be compatible, if you could switch that out. We will do a sort of a takedown. And as you can also see, the pistol grip, I don't know if you actually can see that, is a little bit slimmer on the Airsoft version. And on the front, it is actually more round as well. If you can see, like, this is kind of squared off here. It's more round on the Airsoft version. You can also see there's a little tab, and maybe you can't see that. Okay, in terms of weight, the weight, it's pretty close. It's not perfect, but it is probably closer than, like, sort of the this is a more of a full size. This is a Glock 23 sized pistol. I don't have any Glock 17s anymore. I sold them because I just didn't like how much bigger they were. I actually removed the little point here because it was interfering with the holster I had at the time. But I regret doing that. But anyway, I did some light stippling like I did on I have a real Glock 23 as well. So I want it to be as close to mine as possible. And I've actually profiled this and so it doesn't rub inside your middle finger. Anyway, this isn't about this. But in terms of the weight compared to the real Glock 23, this one does not compare. This is more close in terms of weight to the real thing with the Glock 42. So let's get these magazines off the table here. Actually, you do notice the quality of the fill valve and the striker valve seems to be really good quality. The plastic seems nice as well. The spring is a pretty tight little spring actually, which is nice for feeding. It's for reliable feeding. And this plate, actually, this detent, it's a fake detent. It's not a real detent. You just actually slide this off. It's kind of held captive by some tabs on the, like, how the metal sort of kind of goes out a little bit more, and it just kind of holds it in place. And it's pretty good. I haven't dropped it, and I'm not going to drop it. But I also do believe that you can flip this magazine release around to the other side if you are a left-handed shooter. Okay, So let's take this beast apart and we'll compare the internals to the real thing. And I don't want to, make this so much about like compared to the real thing, but I really want this video to cater towards people that use airsoft as a means to train for the real gun, and if you don't have time to get out to the range or the money to get out to shoot, this is great. It's better than dry firing. You don't get the same trigger feel, obviously, because it's a much lighter trigger. But this is about a 5-pound trigger or 4.5-pound trigger, and this is I don't want to take a shot because it's filled with gas right now, but I would say it's maybe a 1.5, maybe 2 at most, something like that. So it's first of all, the gun has to be cocked to do the field strip. Unlike the real version, you actually have to pull the trigger to slide it forward because of the striker fire system in there. But for the airsoft version, you actually have to have it cocked because there's an internal hammer, which I'll show you. You just pull it back a little bit like you do the real thing. Take these, push down on these takedown pins on each side, or pull down rather, and push forward. And you got your upper here and your lower. And as you can see, it's very simple inside. Super simple. There's not really anything there. Some people might be concerned about how thin this is. It's actually very strong. It's like little needles almost, but it doesn't flex really at all unless I really start flexing it. Same with the bottom here. I'm not gonna take it apart fully. It is very easy to do so, but there's no point in it because that's not really what this is tabletop review is about. This is the hammer right here, and let me put it forward so see that. Okay, now let's reset the trigger there so we can put the hammer back down. The gun did not come lubricated. It came lubricated in that one little spot right there, but the rails here did not come lubricated, so I do suggest you lubricate that before you start firing it. Let's take the real steel part here. Same takedown or similar takedown. So kind of look inside there. Airsoft on the right, real steel on the left. Pretty similar, huh? Pretty similar. I know you guys are going to want me to try to put the real slide on the airsoft version, but I'm not going to do that. And I'm also not going to put the airsoft version on the real one because the parts won't fit together. I can just tell by looking at it. But, okay, so let's put the lowers aside here and look at the uppers and the recoil assembly and the barrels and whatnot. It's a dual captured recoil on the real version here. And it's actually the same or a similar design. Very complex little design there. Similar in almost every way besides the actual spring tension. It's got a really similar concept behind it. Take the barrel out. And right here you'll notice there is a spring, and that's actually to help feeding so it doesn't actually go back too far here. And the barrel feels like it's pretty decent quality. The inner barrel's kind of floating around in there a little bit, and this is actually the hop up here, that little wheel. You can see it says up there. You can go up or down depending on what gram BB you're using. So that's a nice little barrel there, and this is just the blowback housing here. And I do believe that screw is what holds this whole unit to the rear sight here. So I don't believe you can actually have a real Glock sight on there. And if you also notice, this is a kind of a cool little thing too. That nozzle is modeled after a 380, and I will show you here. This is a cool little thing I noticed. If you look at this, this is a hollow point, and it's kind of an odd design, but you notice you can even see like the ridge of the casing where the projectile would be separated from the casing. It's a cool little touch there, and I appreciate that, and I hope more companies do that because it's kind of a cool little thing. Just one more step kind of towards realism. Let's see, look at the barrels here. Barrels are Real steel on the right, Airsoft on the left, of course. Let's look at the trades here. And unfocus. Pretty similar, huh? Pretty cool. Feed ramp there. Feed ramp is very different. One's made for Airsoft, of course. The parts feel high quality. The metal that they're using, it's not steel on most of the parts, but it does feel high quality. Let's just see for kicks if this fits in there. It does not. Okay, it's a little bit larger. And we'll see if the real version fits on the Airsoft. Okay, that also is not the same dimensions. And they can't make it the same dimensions because I think there'd be too many legal complications, even though... one thing to notice is the front sight does look like you can... it's hard to see because my lighting is pretty poor right now. But let me adjust this a little bit. That's a little bit better. You can see that little hex in there, and it's also a flathead. You can remove the front sight, and it's kind of similar to the real steel here. It's a hex head there. So it might be compatible with real steel front sights, not the rear sights. So that's kind of unfortunate. Anyway, let's put this beast back together. It's very simple. Goes together the same exact way. And this appears to have a little... I do want to show you this too. There's a little... There, you can see a little point right there that hooks into that little hole on the middle right there. Just so it kind of doesn't come out of place, which is nice. So that's that. I actually had to look at the lowers to see which one was which. Okay, so we will do a chrono of this gun, and we're not going to compare it to any other of the larger guns because this is actually probably pretty close, if not the smallest gas blowback pistol, at least I've ever seen. So, anyway. And just for size comparison, for those of you that perhaps bought a G27 or G26 to train with your 42, like I did, it is much, much different. And I will be switching over to practicing with this. This is still a really cool gun, but it's empty. And it's very smooth. And the trigger is actually really nice. Feels great. And it is compatible with all of the magazines from the smallest to the largest. So, that's cool. So, let's get down to the chrono, and let's see what this thing can do. Make sure and wear eye protection. Okay, the light might be interfering with this thing. I'm going to have to tilt it a little bit again. Let me try this. Last shot here. 235 on the last shot. Locked back. Very impressive recoil for such a small gun. I'd say it's on par with my Glock 27. So, that's cool. Let's try a few more rounds here, just because those didn't seem to want to register. And I am using .20 gram BBs, and these are nothing special here. I'm only doing 6 shots because that's how much the actual magazine, the actual version of the gun holds. So I don't want to, you know. Anyway, another 6 rounds here. Well, you can see that. And the gun is empty. So pop the magazine in there. Magazine seat's nice. Okay. Okay. Okay, 258.89. If you can see that. $229.23. That's odd jump in FPS there. Okay. I'm not really sure. 168.43. I don't believe I filled that magazine all the way. Okay. The magazines do kind of stick too. You have to kind of pull them out. I am using Coleman propane. This is that same magazine. There's still 3 rounds in it. This is a full propane bottle. I'm not really sure what would happen if I didn't just charge it right. Okay, let's finish these off here. Make sure there's not a round in the chamber here. There's not. Okay. Hopefully, okay, I'm not sure you can see that. Okay, it didn't register. Okay, 242.55. Okay, locked back with authority, 252.69. And it did lock back. Empty chamber. Empty magazine. I'm not really sure what happened. That was probably my fault. But let's get back to the review. Okay, I'm not really sure I clarified this, but let's count how many rounds this magazine can hold, full capacity. 1, 2. You gotta make sure it gets in the right orientation there. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. 9, 10. 11, 12, 13. Okay, it appears to be 13. Might be 12. It's not. It's still got pretty decent amount of room to move around, as you can see. So that's 13 in the magazine. Not really sure how well it would do in this colder weather in terms of going through the entire magazine, but let's give it a shot here. I'm just gonna hold the camera here. Okay. We'll shoot it into our little BB trap here. It's just like a steel little BB trap. Okay. Let me make sure to do this as unprofessionally as possible. Okay. So we're just going to shoot directly in there. Okay, shot all 13 with authority. I'm very impressed. Let's see how many more shots. Okay, that was kind of a sluggish return because of the magazine. Okay, let's see how many more shots I can actually do. I'm just gonna hold the slide catch here. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. It's getting kind of sluggish now. 29. It still feels like it's kicking pretty good though. 30, 31, 32, 33. This is probably when to start getting to about like a 150 kind of range. 24, 25, 26, 27. Oh, that's it. Okay, 27 shots out of this size magazine. I am thoroughly impressed. I did not expect that. And the magazine is pretty cool. It's not cold. Now, if you alternated between two different magazines, 6 rounds, like you could probably get much more than what I got in just one after the other. Now, if you were doing quick shots, you'd probably experience quite a bit of cooldown. Just for an experiment here, let's see if we can get I'm gonna set this down here. Let's see if we can get the realistic 6 rounds as quick as we can out of the gun. These magazines have not had time to warm up quite yet, so we might experience some unnatural cooldown because there's 6 rounds in there. This is a different magazine. It's the other one I was using. I'm just gonna do 6 rounds, relatively quick. Okay, I fucked up on one of those. But damn, I'd say this would be a great little backup, or a backup to your backup if you want to do that. This thing, it feels great. Wow. Thumbs up. Okay, we just chronoed it, and as you can see, it's a pretty decent little performer for how small it is and how small the magazines are. You know, like that. You know, this is how much room it has for gas, and the walls have to be thick enough to where if you drop it, it doesn't explode. So it's pretty impressive that it gets even that. Like, and right now the temperature in here, the ambient temperature is pretty low because it's winter time, as you all know. And there's actually snow on the ground where I am in Colorado right now. So the temperature inside this garage here is 65 degrees. So there will be noticeable cool down. I don't know how to install this little magazine thing before I forget. I'm sure someone, you know, will correct me and be like, oh, you got to do it this way or whatever. There's a little arrow on it, and I've tried putting it in there, and it keeps on getting stuck on me. Dry firing is not a huge concern of mine, but it's cool that they included this. That's just a nice little feature. So overall, I'm really satisfied with this purchase, and I will be practicing with it. Not sure I'm going to take it to too many airsoft games once I get my leg healed up, but I will be using it for practice, drawing, and, you know, just the functionality, and because it's much safer. You can still, you know, lose an eye or, you know, injure yourself in that way, but as long as you're safe, this is definitely the better way to practice when you're in your house, when you can't you know, be shooting real shit, you know. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, feel free to ask, and I will do my best to answer them. I'm very excited about this, and I really hope Glock gets on the ball with Airsoft. They did actually recently make a deal with Cybergun, which is, I don't know why the hell they would make a deal with Cybergun. Cybergun doesn't even make Airsoft guns. They you know, put their name on other people's products, you know, and they're just a joke of a company, and I don't understand why Glock fell for them. But they are they're dipping their toes in the airsoft industry, and which is kind of cool. So maybe, just maybe, this will become a more available thing instead of having to, you know, get it through means that are not conventional. So it's just a little bit upsetting because it really doesn't make much sense. Maybe they're making more money by all the lawsuits that they're doing with these airsoft companies than they are actually putting out a high quality airsoft gun that people can actually use and train with. You know, but they did make a deal for law enforcement and military only for now. I don't know if that's going to change. It might never change, but that is awesome that they like I said, they're dipping their toes in the airsoft world. So maybe with enough outcry from the public, they will change their mind on these things. And just to show you a couple things here before I go, there are times it doesn't. When it's actually cycling, you're shooting it, and this never happens. But if you're just playing around with it, see how if it slams forward, it's fine. But if you do it like really slow, you can actually get it to not fully seat there, and you have to push it forward a little bit. See how the barrel locked there? And there are also sometimes, it almost did it. If you pull all the way back, sometimes the slide will stick back. And again, that does not happen in my experience while you're shooting it, ever. But that also probably will wear itself down eventually and probably not happen in the future. But just you know, don't expect it to be perfect. This thing sounds great, as you could hear from the video. I love it. I will attempt to get the orange stuff off. If I can't, you know, probably Sharpie or spray paint it up, or maybe just leave it orange and, you know, have people see me anywhere I play airsoft from a mile away and give away my position and everybody else that's near me. Anyway, fun little gun, love it, and hope you enjoyed the video. give it a thumbs up, and please subscribe. Thank you.